Okay, we are,
Didn't see them yet.
no. Could you go grab the whiteboard? Thank you. Just set it up here for me. All right, so today, I'm recording. Today we're going to write down the entire translation because you guys are going to do some exercises with it and you're going to take a test with it. So I'm not going to, thank you. I might, can you just put it right in front of this door? Because already got the camera pointed right here. And that way I can, okay. So I might go a little bit more quickly because I really want to get the whole thing through today. Ava's probably just going to watch this on video because she's coming out on Thursdays now to my house. So Ava, when you're watching this, ask me if you have any questions. Let's start out by putting on the board all of our noun endings so that we can refer to it, okay? So here we go. First declension. I, arum, is, as, is. Second declension. Us, o, orum, is, as, is. Second declension neuter. O, orum, is, is. Cases. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. What does nominative do? Subject. What does dative do? It is an object, but which object?
Object of preposition.
No, that's ablative. That's accusative. We got one left. Indirect object. Okay? They're the ones who get the direct object. You know, I gave a gift to Luke. Luke is the indirect object. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I want to make sure that you guys have this reading completely written down. So I want, if you follow along with your translation or write it down, okay? If you miss anything, you correct it. You make sure that when you leave here today, you have this written down as it should be. All right? I know I sent you the key, but if you made a mistake, I want you to correct it, okay? And I think that last week when we went back and forth and you read your sentences, you know, we didn't get very far. And so because it's a lot, I'm going to do a little bit more guiding you, okay, instead of letting everybody give your sentence. And I don't like to do it that way, but our time is constraining us. Yes?
I didn't finish my reading.
Okay, then you're going to finish it today. I want you to write it down. If I say anything and you don't have it written down, you write it down, okay? That's your job today. I want you to have this written down. And I want you to understand why it is what it is. That is our goal, because I have a review and I have a unit test, okay? So I've got several days for you to review, chapters 7 through 9, and then I've got a test for you to take. And you're not going to look in the book to take this test. But you can have this translated. I will let you use it on the test, okay? Do you understand? That's why I want to make sure you have it, that you have it translated. So open up your book to the reading. It's on page 65 for many of us. All right, so am I clear? So I'm gonna go through this with you and you're gonna write it down. If you don't have it written down, I want you to write it down. So some of it you do have already, but.
So are we rewriting the whole thing, or is it just the parts where I miss?
Well, just the parts where you miss, just so you have a copy that is correct.
Okay.
That's what I want you to have, a copy that is correct.
Okay.
So here we go. I want you to have your eyes on the Latin, okay? You keep a finger there, whatever. I want you to look along with me. All right. The first sentence says, Ultimus tyrannus Romae erat Tarquinius superbus. And they tell us that Ultimus Tyrannus is one of the things. Last. And it says, use your eye Latin to decipher the meaning of this word. What do you think a tyrannus is?
Tyrannosaurus.
Well, Tyrannosaurus comes from that. What word that could be applied to a king looks like tyrant? So that sentence, the last tyrant, Romite, they haven't done genitive yet. Of Rome. We haven't done genitive yet, have we, John? In this?
Not yet.
No? Okay, well, I'm wondering, and this is why I'm getting a little disenchanted with this book. Romi is this, and it means possessive. But I don't know how you would know that. The last tyrant of Rome was Tarquinius Superbus. Do you see the erat? Eram, eras, erat. Eramus, eratus, erant. We learned that. I was, you were, he, she, it was, we were, you all were, they were. It's the he was. The last tyrant of Rome was Tarquinius Superbus. Okay, I don't want to go too fast, but so tell me when you're ready to move on. And you can, you know what you can do for time? You don't have to write out Tarquinius Superbus or Sextus Tarquinius. You can just write their initials. You'll know what it means. Okay. It says, quod filius tyranni, Sextus Tarquinius, feminae bonae Lucretiae nocuit. Romani errati tyrannum cum familia ex opido armis expulerant. What? Okay. Let's look. First of all, they did not tell you what quod means either, did they?
Isn't it what?
It's because
It's because. Did we learn this already? All right. See, this is why we're doing this. I was going over this week. I'm like, wait, you gave them that word and you didn't tell them either. Because filius, notice it's nominative. It's my subject. What does filius mean?
So,
Son. Because the son, tyranny. And again, they aren't telling you that that means of the tyrant. Oh, you guys, I'm so upset with this. Because the son of the tyrant, Sextus Tarquinius, call him ST. So here's going to be your job. But we're just going to have to do it this way today. I'm going to walk through it with you. If you don't know why I've translated something a certain way, would you please, please, please raise your hand and stop me and ask me? Okay? That's going to be your job. Because the son of the tyrant, Sextus Tarquinius, now what did he do? Nocuit. And they tell us that nocio means harm. And they tell me that the third principal part of nocio is nocui. So it must be perfect tense, right? Do you remember? Isti it, imus istis erant, nocuit. He harmed. Does that make sense? Do you see how I came to that? Caden's like, no, I don't. So if the principal parts are nocio, nocere, nocui, nocitum. Remember when I do the perfect tense, I go to the third principal part and I add isti, it, imus, istus, erunt.
So adding that to Nokia, that makes it. I thought like those meant were and was. And
No, that would be bomb, boss, bot. When we add bomb, noke boss, noke bot, that means I was harming, you were harming. This is our perfect tense. And so it means I harmed, I have harmed, or I did harm.
So does that add the ed?
Yes, yes,
Oh, because I was wondering what it did.
yes, yes. So when I go to the third principal part and I add these endings, we call this perfect tense. It's something I did in the past and it's completed. It's done. It's over. He harmed her. He did it once. So let's go back to our Latin. Find our Latin where we are. I'm going to backtrack. Because the son of the tyrant, Sextus Tarquinius, nociuit, harmed. Now, we have another problem with harm. Everybody flip to the list where it tells you what nocio means. And look at the word nocio and look in the parentheses. Plus dative object. Do you see that? And you might say, what the heck does that mean? Plus dative object. It means this. Whenever you use the word harm, the person who gets harmed is dative instead of accusative. Now look at the Latin sentence. He harmed someone in the dative. He harmed femini, boni, Lucretiae. What is a femini boni? A good woman. And her name is Lucretia. A good woman, Lucretia. They are all in the dative because nocio takes the dative. That's what that little message in the parentheses tells you. That nocio takes a dative. So, I'm going to go back to the Latin and I'm going to read from the beginning again. Because the son of the tyrant, Sextus Tarquinius, harmed the good woman Lucretia. All right, as I read, and whenever I'm reading off the Latin, you guys follow with the Latin. All right, and now we have more sentence. We have, let's go all the way to the end of that sentence, and we have a verb, expulerunt. Does everybody see expulerunt? And it's got an erunt ending. I know it's a verb. And if I look at my list of what things mean, it says expello, expellery, expuli. Expulsa means drive out. So expulerunt look what I have, the third principal part, plus erunt, it's perfect tense. They expelled. They drove out. Perfect tense. Who drove out? Well, now I'm going to take my eyes back earlier in the paragraph and look for something that could be a they and can be nominative. It's got to end in an I, an E, or an A. And as my eyes, look at the Latin, as my eyes go back, I see Romani errati. They've got the right ending. Angry Romans. Does that make sense? Angry Romans drove out. And then we have to ask ourselves, I'll let you write that down. Angry Romans drove out. And then we have to ask ourselves, who did they drive out? And now we need an indirect object. It's going to be accusative. It's going to end in one of these endings. Is there a word that ends in one of these endings? Between angry Romans and drove out? So look at the Latin. You got to be looking at the Latin because that's the only way you're going to find it. Between Romani errati and expulerunt, is there something that has a direct object ending? It's one of these. It's accusative. There's only one word there with one of those endings. Tyrannum. The angry Romans drove out the tyrant. It's our direct object. And then they tell you that cum means with. And it says preposition plus ablative in your word list, where they tell you what cum means. It says preposition plus ablative. That means whoever they're with is going to have an ablative ending. So I look, cum familia. And it's got this ending, yay, with familia,
Family.
with his family. And then we have X, and it tells us X means out of, plus the ablative. I look back at the Latin, ex opido, out of the town. And then I have one word left, and it is armis. Yes, it means weapons or arms. And what case is it? What should I do with it? It's just sitting there by itself. I know it's got to be ablative or dative. And if it's dative, it means somebody gave something to the weapons. That makes no sense at all. You think are you thinking of something?
Because it's not preceding any sort of action.
Right. So it can't be dative. Keep your hand where you are and turn back to page 60. When we have a noun in the ablative case, all by itself, it could be ablative of means, ablative of manner, ablative of separation. And the word is weapons. They drove out the tyrant with his family out of the town. Is it away from the weapons? Is it with the weapons, or is it by means of weapons? With the weapons or by means of, right? They used weapons. Ablative of means or instrument. They drove him out with weapons. Does that make sense? I feel like this is the first time I've used this book, and I'll just tell you, I'm just disappointed. They're giving you stuff that you don't. John, I'm just inches away from Memoria Pressing again. Inches. All right. That was a very long sentence. Now, I would like you to look back at the Latin with me, and I'm going to look at that sentence again. Now that you know what it says. And let's follow it. So I start out with because, which irritatingly they don't tell you that because means. How did you find? Did you look it up in the back?
Well, I looked ahead in the book. And
Okay. Well, by the way, if they give you a word accidentally you don't know, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but in the back of your book there is a word list. Okay. There's a glossary. There's a dictionary in the back. Look it up. Okay. If they do this to you again, just look it up. And if you look up quote, it tells you it means because. So looking at that sentence again, because the son, follow the words in Latin with me. Because the son of the tyrant, Sextus Tarquinius, now I have to zip ahead to the verb, harmed the good woman Lucretia. The angry Romans, now I have to zip ahead for the verb again, drove out the tyrant with his family out of the town with weapons. Do you see it? Does everybody see it? How every word fell into place? Are you okay? Let's take a look. With practice, it will get better. I'm fearing we are not going to make it through this, but we're going to press ahead. Okay. So the next sentence. Now, run your eyes across that sentence with me for a minute. I'm going to let Caden write that down. Because at this point, one good thing is starting to recognize what's a verb and what's a noun. You know, we know what endings verbs should have, and we know these are the endings that nouns should have. And we will know the difference. Okay, so everybody, let me wait for Luke. Okay, because I need you to be looking at the Latin when I do this. I need you to find line 3, starting with Romani. Is everybody on line 3 and you see the word Romani? Okay, now take your eyes, line 3 Romani, Luke. Take your eyes across. Run your eyes across the words and look. I see necaverunt. That's a verb. That's a verb form. And then I see more words, and then I run into fugerunt. That's a verb too. I know it. They have verb endings. They have to be our verbs. Have they told you what said means yet? Have you learned said? But. You know what? I think this is the last one of these, not readings we're going to do, but the test that goes along with it. I'm going to start making my own tests because this is irritating me. All right. But means, said means but. So look what we have. We have words with a verb, and then but, and more words with a verb. It's a compound sentence. Blah, 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 but blah, 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 blah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tackle everything up to the comma, because that's the first part of a compound sentence. Romani, sextum, gabii, necaverunt. Those are the 4 words I have to deal with. What does necaverunt mean? It's another... You wrote what did you say, Caden? Harmed or kill. Kill. And this one's it's just erunt. And it's the third principal part, neko, nekari, nekawi, third part, and it's got erunt. They killed. Perfect tense. Who killed? Now I need a word with a plural subject ending. It is going to be a word ending in I, E, or A. My only choices. Romani. The Romans killed. You see, the endings are telling me, the endings are guiding me. They are telling me what I have to know. The Romans killed who? Well, we need something with a direct object ending. What has a direct object ending? Well, I don't see an I on the accusative row. It's got to be one of these endings. And there's actually only 2 words to choose from here, so. Sextum. Sextus. The guy, the rotter, who attacked Lucretia. The Romans killed Sextus. And then if I look, because it's italicized, at Gabia. They tell me that on the list. The Romans killed Sextus at Gabia. We are never getting through this today. But, we already said means but. If we didn't know, we could look it up in the back of the book. But, and now we have more words. Find me a verb after the but. Somewhere on lines 3 and 4. Sed pater, et Germani sexti, fugerunt, ad alium opidum. Fugerunt. It's got a verb ending. They fled. And if I don't know fugio, it says means flee. And it's got a perfect tense ending. They fled. Who fled? Now we have to find something that's nominative. Now, pater is italicized, and I look and it says pater means father, and it tells me it's nominative singular. Boom, nominative. But the verb was they fled. It must be somebody besides his father. His father and the brothers of Sextus fled. That's what it says. But the father and the brothers of Sextus fled. Ad alium oppidum. Have we? Oh, ad. It says ad means to or towards, and alias means other, another. So if ad means to, and alias means another, what does
To another town.
to another town? To another town. What is up with these Latin books? I'll have to write my own Latin book. It's going to come to that. I don't have time to write a whole workbook. Okay. So look at the next sentence. Duo viri, Brutus et Calatinus, errant nunc consules. Two men, find me a verb. What is the verb?
After the comment.
It is errant. What does errant mean? Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, errant.
Were?
They were. It means it was or were. That's what you were thinking of earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they meant something.
That's what I'm sorry. I answered the wrong question. You were asking the right question. I answered the question that I heard, and it was the wrong question. Yes, eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus is the be verb, and it means was or were. So sorry. You said was or were, and I was thinking bomba spot. They were. So Caden told us who were two men. Weary has a nominative ending. Great. Two men. What two men? Brutus et Calatinus. They both have nominative endings. They're the two men. They're the subjects. Two men, Brutus and Calatinus, were. That's what we have. Nunc. Pretty sure you've learned nunc. Now. We're now. And they tell us on the next page that consules means consuls. Told me right here. Yeah, that we're now consuls. Two men, Brutus and Calatinus, were now consuls. Here's what we're going to do. We are in, and I'm giving you this worksheet for this week. However, I am going to go home this afternoon. It probably won't be there till late tonight, okay, because I've got a bunch of errands to run. And I'm going to record myself. I'm going to finish going through this word by word for you, if you will watch it with me, okay? It won't take me that long. I'll write on the whiteboard at home, I'll write my endings, and I will explain the whole thing to you. And you can stop the video and write stuff down if you want to, okay? Because I want to go through this whole thing with you guys. All right. Next paragraph. Tarquinius superbus oppugnavit Romanos prope silvam arsium. Find me a verb. Yes. Oppugnavit, which means fought. He, she, or it fought. Who do you think is the he, she, or it?
Tarquinius.
Yes, because he's got an us ending. TS fought. Who did he fight? We need a direct object. It's got to have one of these endings. What has an accusative ending? In that sentence. Actually, more than one thing does, but who do you think he fought? Looking at the Latin. Romanos. Accusative. Sex Tarquinius Superbus fought the Romans, and then it tells me prope means near, and it says plus the accusative. In my little glossary, whatever they're near is accusative. Near, and if I look above, near the prope. And do they tell you? I thought I saw where it was. The Arcean forest. The forest, Arsa. Where? I could have sworn I saw it yesterday when I was looking at this. Near the Arcean forest.
I found profit.
Prope? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the near, but I was looking for Silva Marcium. And so I'm frustrated with this book, Hayden. I'm not frustrated with any of you. I am frustrated with this book. It says prope means, it says preposition plus accusative, which means whatever you're near is going to be accusative. And I have silvam arcium, and it's accusative. Near the Arcean forest. You've learned Silva already, right, Forest? Please tell me they've taught you Silva already. My mind is thinking very fast. And I'm thinking we aren't going to do any more of these readings. And I'm thinking I'm not using this book next year. I don't know how they think you are going to suddenly psychically know these things. Okay. Have we got that? Tarquinius Superbus fought the Romans near the Arcean forest. Okay. Let's look at the next sentence. It's very short. Pugna minime significans erat. What does erat mean? If it were iramus, it would be we. What is it when it's erat? He sheer it was. And anything, there's only 3 other words. Is there anything that could be the he sheer it, do you think? It's the only other word that you've learned. Pugna? Have you learned pugna?
Isn't that fight?
Fight. The battle. The battle was, and then the other 2 words, they tell you what they mean. It's kind of weird. It says least significant. It wasn't very important. Yeah. So whenever they have it italicized, it tells you in the list what it is. Have you picked up on that? That the italics, do you know what I mean? When the writing is slanty, that's a word that's in the list. So minime and significance. Okay. Okay. Yes. So those are words that are in the list at the next in the next page. And they tell you minime means least and significance means significant. The battle was least significant. It wasn't a very important battle, in other words. He attacked the Romans near the forest, but it wasn't a big deal. Yes. Now they tell us that igitur means therefore. So I can now not worry about igitur. And they tell us that apropinquavit if I turn the page, apropinquo means approach. And if it's apropinquavit, it's got the V in it, it's the third principal part plus this. He, she, or it approached. Approached. And who approached? Tarquinius, therefore, approached. And who did he approach? Now, this guy's name is up above. It says characters. Lars Porsena. Approached Lars Porsena. Regem clusio. And they tell us clusio means et clusium. Great.
What does Ecclusium mean?
The town is called Clusium,
Oh.
and that's where he met him. They had a meeting there at Clusium. And he is regem, which is also a word you haven't learned yet.
I thought that was king.
It is king.
But yeah, it like said
I
that.
didn't tell you earlier.
I'm pretty sure in the chapter 8 reading.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I found out you go back to the glossary and some of the other chapters and they give you that word.
Okay, this should not be, guys. You should not have to do that, Luke. We're going to keep using this book, but I'm going to have to tweak it a little bit because this isn't fair to you guys. You're going to feel like you're not succeeding. John, give it a vote now. Memoria Press versus this.
Memoria Press, yeah.
I don't even know.
It's the book that we used last year. This is not organized well. And I feel really bad because your parents already bought this book. We can't pull out now. Do you know what I mean? But my promise to you is we're gonna go over the grammar stuff in the lessons. You guys should not be subjected to doing. It would be different if I had more time with you and they didn't give you words you didn't know without telling you. But you shouldn't have to scramble for words you don't know. All right? I am very disappointed, not in you at all. I'm disappointed in this because I trusted it. Okay? So if I ever seem impatient with you, I am not impatient with you. I am impatient with this book. Has everybody got it? Do not take any of if I sigh, it is not because you gave me the wrong answer. It's because these people are asking you to do something you're not ready to do. Okay, that is my promise to you. No sighs for you. Only sighs for this. All right, we're gonna keep moving. All right, but I think I'm gonna give you. Well, we've got a few minutes. Let's do a few more sentences. All right. So we have Tarquin therefore approached Lars Porsena, king, at Clusium. Porsena tyrannum adiuvabat. All right, it's only 3 words. I feel good about this. Porsena, we know that's the guy's name. Adiuvabat. Have we learned adiuvo? I don't think so. Which is very, now this is a sigh, helped. Adiuvo means help. Okay.
No, it did.
Was it uo?
Yeah.
But so they didn't warn you that adiuvo and uo are the same thing. So follow me on this. If adiuvo means help, and it has a bot on the end, now translate that for me. Adiuvabat. Was adiuvo. Do you remember now what I told you adiuvo meant? It's like, was helping. He, she, or it was helping. So look at our other 2 words. Everybody with me on line 7?
Yeah.
We only have 2 other words. And Porsena has an ending that's a subject. And tyrannum has an ending that's a direct object. So it must be Porsena was helping the tyrant. Does that make sense? I know it can't be the tyrant was helping Porsena because the endings aren't right. Okay, we're going to stop and take a breath. Sometimes life does not unfold the way you expect. And you can give up. You can adjust. Or is there the other choice? Really, there's no other choice, right? You can give up or you can adjust your plans. This is what life happens. This is happening to me right now. Here's what we're going to do. I am going to give you the Unit 2 review. Here's what is in it. It is a vocabulary. Oh, here. Actually, I have an extra one. So you guys look at it with me. All right. On page 1 and page 2 is a list of words. Do you see the list of words on the first 2 pages? Here's what I want you to do tomorrow. I want you to sit down with this paper and not look in your book. And I want you to translate as many of these as you can. Just translate as many of them as you can.
Are we translating?
Yes. I mean, just like, what does Creo, Creari, Creawi, Creata mean?
So, like, you just say to create for all of those?
You can, no, just one of them. Just the word create would be enough. If you just said it means create. Uo, uari, uiutum means help. If you just write that. I want you to try to do this without looking at the book. And then this afternoon, I will be emailing your mothers the key. And then here's what I want you to do. Check it and that's what the boxes are for. Put an X in the box if you missed it. Or if you just didn't know what to write. This tells you, these are the words I don't know. Right? If you get it right, you know that word. This is for you. These are the words I don't know. I need to work on those. That's the first thing I want you to do this week. Now, turn to the page where it says day 1 at the top. Okay? Here's your goals. Know all vocabulary. Verbs. Know all principal parts. Nouns. Know nominative and genitive singular. We did do genitive, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
This is what happens when I switch books. Did we not talk about it very much? I'm going back to see what lesson that was in. Second conjugation, chapter 7. At the beginning of the chapter, it tells you everything you're learning. It should not be this much work to use a book. It really shouldn't. There's accusative case, dative case, present system, perfect tense, ablative case. They have not even told you the genitive yet. Not according to the table of contents. All right, I'm looking. Genitive case isn't until chapter 12. So where it says no genitive singular forms, forget that. You can just draw a line through that. You don't need that. That's chapter 12. Unbelievable. I would like you to do the practice here. Put large flames in the nominative. Put happy troops in the genitive. All right? These are all words you do know. I would like you down below to give the form that it asks for. Look at the bottom of day 1. Do you see number 1? It says habere, third person, singular, imperfect. Now here's the thing that threw you. You did this last time, Caden, but you gave me the English. They want you to write it in Latin.
So basically just write it in Latin.
Right? Third person, singular, imperfect. So let's just do this together. So we'll see what this looks like. I know habeo is my verb, and this is the infinitive, So I know if I take that away, that's my stem. What ending do I put on this to mean third person, singular, imperfect? But, yes, habebat. That's what they want you to write there. It's imperfect. It's third person singular, he, she, or it. Luke, do you understand? Okay, that's what they want you to do there, okay? So I want you to do, see the things that are dark, the places that are dark on the page, I want you to do those. Write down, translate the words. Write these in the case that it asks you. Write the form here that they want you to write. And on the back, it says, translate the prepositional phrases into Latin. Hint, phrases may be in dative or ablative case. And you're like, what? What? Well, let's look at one of them, with gratitude. Now to do this page, I'm going to have to go back to page 60 and look at those ablative things. Ablative of manner. How did you do it? With gratitude. Great. I put that in the ablative. But let's look at to his brothers. To his brothers is number 5. Wait a minute. Okay, so I'm looking. Did he use his brothers for something? No. Did he do it in a manner like being a brother? No. Was he away from his brother? No.
Maybe like he paid attention to
his brothers. What is that? If his brothers got his attention, what is that? It's not, because it's not means or instrument. It's not manner. It's separation. His brothers got something. They received something. He gave it to his brothers. Do you see the difference? So you read these prepositional phrases and you say, oh, I don't know which is which. But if you think about it, if it sounds like somebody's getting something, it's being dative. But if they're doing it using something, or with something, or away from something, it's ablative. They want you to, and frankly, look under day 2. It has the 3 ablative case review right there for you. It has it. So use that. That's what I want you to do. And then I want you to take this unit test, and you're going to mark off some of it. You're just not going to do some of it. I'm just telling you flat out. This is the moment, John. This is the cross it off moment.
That was always great.
This is okay, here we go. I want you to cross off the entire number 1. Everything. Those A, B, C, and D, you're not doing any of that. I want you to do number 2. Because number 2 is exactly like the exercise on the worksheet. Can you put nakare into second person plural present? Can you put haberi into third person plural perfect? I want you to practice that. Number 3, cross it off. Actually, everything else, cross it off. You're only doing number 2. And we are bagging these readings. I will make you my own tests that are exactly what I want you to learn. Are you breathing a sigh of relief? Is everyone breathing a sigh of relief? You like the readings? You can do the readings. I'm not gonna come to your house and tell you you're not allowed. But what? What did you say?
The one that we just did was like 4 paragraphs long.
I know. And well, the thing is, what are they giving you genitive for? Genitive is chapter 12. This is not, no. So bye-bye, Latin Alive, next year.
Did they give this genitive? Are we going to go back to the reading? Or just not?
No, I think I'm going to invent my own. We're going to do other exercises. All right? This is not, maybe I will check the readings first. Maybe if there's one, I'll have you do part of it, like one paragraph out of the 4 or something like that. But I'm not going to ask you to do it if they're giving you cases you don't even know yet. You can't do Latin if you haven't learned what the case does. That's not. I'm getting all fired up, John. Getting hot under the collar. Okay, I should turn off my recording because now I've just dissed this book publicly. At least I'm not live. Okay, so do these sheets. Do the portions I asked you to. And we are going to do sort of an oral group quiz in class. Like I'm just going to write some stuff, drills. Like I'm just going to make up sentences and I'm just going to ask you to do them and see that everybody understands, and we're going to move on. Because this is the give up or cut your losses and move on moment, and we are cutting our losses and moving on, okay? And I apologize for any grief that you have had over this book. I am really irritated, but not with you. Okay. Does everybody understand what to do?
Yes.
Just on that thing that says unit test, you're now only doing the second exercise. You're doing everything on the worksheet that is dark, that is in a rectangle that's dark. And the most important things for you to do, in addition to that, is drill, drill, drill vocabulary. The better you know your words, then you don't have to look things up, the faster it goes. And make sure you know all your verb tenses, present, imperfect, future imperfect, and these noun endings. I want you to be able to, in fact, maybe I will, maybe I'll take 5 minutes and just give you a piece of paper and say, write down all the noun endings. Now write down all the verb endings. And that's enough test. If you can do that, then you're good, and we'll move on, okay? All right.
So what do I do with my chapter 8 reading?
You want to frame it? Do you want to shoot arrows at it? Does it make you angry? I'll take it and look at it if you want, but I don't think. Oh, this is your chapter 8 reading? Well, I sent your mom the key. But if you want, I'll take it and I'll read it. I'll read it and see how you did. Okay, you did it, and then let me know if there's anything I need to tell you specifically that maybe you don't understand. But I will read it this week for you, Caden. All right, I'm gonna turn this off.